It seems like we're at a sea change with pandemic restrictions across the country. Starting on Monday, the governor of New Jersey announced that they would no longer be requiring mask mandates across the state.
We have to learn how to live with COVID as we move from a pandemic to the endemic phase of this virus.
And that has been followed by other blue states like New York, California, Oregon, Connecticut. And this is a moment in the pandemic where we're more than 2 years in, and governors feel like we are at a point where we can start to loosen some of these restrictions.
This fight is not over. We're not surrendering. This is not disarmament. We're going to continue to be adaptable and responsive to the changing circumstances.
Democratic governors have been announcing plans to pull back mask mandates and other sort of coronavirus restrictions because we're turning a corner on the Omicron surge. The same kind of immediacy that we faced last month when cases were absolutely exploding and hospitals faced some of the biggest threats during the entire pandemic because of the sheer volume of people coming in. That environment is no longer there.
I think there's also an element of fatigue with these restrictions. I think governors have seen that their constituents want to move on with their lives and return to normalcy. And one of the ways to do that is to remove these restrictions. I think there's some people that see politics at play here, particularly as we head into a challenging midterm season for Democrats, given the historical patterns.
The Biden administration is in somewhat of an awkward bind right now because they have a lot of their Democratic allies in governors' mansions across the country essentially telling their constituents that we're not following what the CDC and the Biden administration is saying we should do anymore. I talked to Phil Murphy earlier today, and the point he was making is that this Omicron surge is just so unique with how fast it's going down compared to how fast it's going up, and he doesn't want to wait until for the CDC to act.
Can you blame Americans for being confused and frustrated and having no idea who they should be listening to right now?
Well, our guidance has consistently been this. When you are in a high transmission area, which is everywhere in the country, you should wear a mask in indoor settings, including schools.
So I think the White House is cautiously proceeding with any sort of widespread new guidance when it comes to masks, given the varied case counts throughout the country and the varied vaccination rates in certain states. And they also don't want to come out too strongly like they did in the past, when on July 4th, the president declared that they were moving toward independence from the virus.
We're closer than ever to declaring our independence from a deadly virus.
Only for the Delta variant to emerge and really reshape the country's understanding of vaccines and the virus. And so I think, they really want the country to return to normalcy. Biden has said that, his top aides have said that, but they don't want to move too quickly when the country, they feel, is not ready for full removal of all pandemic-related restrictions.
This is one of those issues where public health experts are generally kind of split. One important factor here that people have been stressing is that you need to have credibility in order to effectively get people to follow masking requirements. And the governors are in a bind here. If you have these mask requirements that are still in place when hospitals are no longer overwhelmed, when cases aren't going up, it'll be harder to convince people to put a mask back on if we get another variant that's even more transmissible than Omicron was. So some public health experts are making the point that it's actually smart to start taking down some of these rules in order to keep those tools available down the line if we need to do it again.